Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am going to be going live with Harbour, specifically Mara from Harbour, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the colorist relationship with the director and a little bit about Mara's journey. I'm just going to invite her now. And also, as we always say, if you've got any questions about colouring or anything involved in the process, feel free to add the comments in the chat and we'll get to them. Let's add her in. Just a little bit of background information. So we're speaking to Mara from Harbour. So essentially, Harbour have worked on a lot of productions. They are a post-production company, and they've worked on Adolescence recently, doing the coloring for that. They've worked with Marvel, and they've also worked with a number of brands. Apple TV is another one, and we're going to be speaking to Mara, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about the coloring. She's a colorist, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the color and director relationship. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, hold on. I think your audio might be slightly. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Amazing. First things first, welcome. I want to, just so that everybody knows, how do we pronounce your last name?
Ciorba.
Chadba. I'm so glad I
Yeah.
asked that live so then everyone knows Mara Chadba. Okay, let's jump into it because we've not got a lot of time. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your journey specifically of being a colorist and how you got involved, why you wanted to become a colorist, and also just how you got involved with Harbour.
Yeah. So I moved to London, Romania, to get into the film industry because I'm just so passionate about it. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I initially wanted to be an editor, so I did a post-production degree and at Ravensbourne.
Oh, so did I.
Yeah,
Sorry, continue. Alumni, sorry, continue.
love that. I feel like a lot of people in the industry studied there. It's I thought it was so good. And they did a color grading workshop in our second year, and I thought it was so fun and so like effortless for me. And I feel like that's how you know that that's the thing you should do. So I really wanted to pursue that, and I basically emailed every post house in London who offered color grading and asked if I can run for them, be a runner there. And I ended up working at MV, and they were so great. And I got training as a color assist on Baselight, which is the software I use now for color. But then COVID happened, and kind of every post house shut down for that period. So I was like freaking out. I didn't know what the next step was for me. And then I heard about NFTS, and they do like a color grading masters, and I really wanted to like take the time. I mean, I was lucky enough to be able to take the time and just refine my craft and learn everything about it and everything about VFX workflows and yeah, how they're synergetic. And yeah, everyone there, it's like you're in a bubble. Everyone there works at such a high level and they're so competitive. So I just pushed myself to work as much as I could on as many projects as I could with as many people as I could, and just really build that client base and also, you know, with people you're friends with. And then I started working at Cheat as an assistant as an assistant colorist. But I kept that going like every evening after work. I would just grade, not not stop, because that's such an important thing for developing your style and just, yeah, making connections with people you want to work with. And then she was acquired by Harbour, which was a great thing for me, just because, Harbour is such an amazing place and it's huge, and I feel like everyone knows about it. So I got access to bigger clients and bigger projects, and it's such an amazing facility. And I think, by doing that, continuing doing what I did at Chi, I got to prove myself. And yeah, I got promoted to colorist. And yeah, that's how I got here.
Amazing. That is fab. And also, yeah, well done, because that's amazing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your role and what it is and what it's not, and just also just like a few other things about the relationship with a director. But first, like, how would you describe color grading, and what it is and what it's not? Because I feel like sometimes maybe there are a few things that people sort of see your role and they're like, oh, this is what it is, and it's that, and it's like, actually, that's a misconception. It's not that. This is what we actually do.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that the color grading is the cherry on top. Like, obviously, everyone involved works so hard in pre-production and production and the edit to create a story or like create a project that has a certain message. And then they get to the color and they get to come to a dark suite, sit down, relax, and just like appreciate what they've done, but just take it a step further, by improving it visually, and making that message more clear. Like what they want to transmit to the audience can be enhanced so much more through color. But yeah, essentially, I work on hopefully the picture locked edit, on the rushes, and yeah, I work with what's there and I try to bring it to a place that the client has in mind.
So in terms of like how, I guess, when directors are working with colorists, like, what are some, I guess, what does that process look like? So say, for example, okay, and maybe this is like how it works at Harbour. Like, say for example, okay, cool, we've just finished this film, we're picture locked, thank God, after a few many drafts. Like, how does it work? Are we sitting with you? Are we how does that work?
So I think like there's different kinds of directors, there's different kinds of relationships for each type of project. So because I work on short form projects, I almost work with a different person every day, which is really cool. That's like one of my favorite parts of the job. But there's just no wrong way to go about it in terms of like the relationship you have with a colorist as a director. I feel like as the colorist, it's my responsibility to make sure the director is comfortable in the suite, because it's such a subjective thing to me, just, the visual aspect of a project. Um, and yeah, so I try to make them feel comfortable because, there's directors that prefer working with references. So they're more like focusing on the visuals. They bring a couple of stills in of projects that they like and they would like to replicate. And then we discuss what they like about them and what they don't like about them and how that would work with the footage they have. There's some directors that focus more on like the feeling they want to evoke, in a piece, like, what they want the audience to feel at certain moments. So we talk about that and how we can use color to sort of enhance that. And then some directors work closely with the DP, and the DP is also present. And, we talk about the decisions they made on set with the lighting and framing and everything, and how we can bring that out or maybe correct things. Yeah, but it's important to collaborate and figure out what works best for you,
Mm.
have that conversation. But yeah, that's what
So then, would you say then, I guess it's super important to just have those references and or have a clear idea of what the vision is prior, or would it be kind of like,
I think like most people have an idea because the color goes hand in hand with the cinematography. So when they make those decisions about what, the lighting decisions, like I said, or even like the costume design, the set design, all these things are really useful to the color grading process. And I think like most people make these decisions, they have references with the color as well at the beginning of the process, but obviously things don't go to plan all the time. So, if they had to change the look of the project, it's completely fine. And, we don't have to work with those references. I personally like having a conversation. Just because it's so useful to understand what their style is, what their taste is. Like I said, it's so subjective. So no, you don't really have to have references if you're more comfortable with just, about it and just that's what I would say.
Cool. I love I love the vibe that you give because it's very much like it kind of gives like in the way that you work is kind of like okay, let's have a conversation about it and like see what the vibe is and see how we can kind of translate that into a visual or into a feeling, into a mood, and what color sort of resonates with that. In terms of I guess sort of other people involved. I've heard like kind of like whispers of like DPs wanting to be involved with the color grading process. Like what's the usual with that? Is that a thing that happens, or is that like, once the DP is done on set, are they kind of like left out, or are they brought in?
Um, so yeah, again, like that depends on the project. I feel like I like having the DP in just because again, like they're aware of the decisions they made and how the color can, work with that or against it. Um, so they're usually involved, but I think, with commercial projects where everything happens so fast and, an agency is involved and a client's involved, um, it's, yeah, it's different because, the director, the agency, and the client are kind of the most important people. But with narrative projects, we usually have the DP in. But yeah, I prefer having them in just because it's a collaboration, and I feel like the color and the cinematography go hand in hand. So it's important to enhance what's already there, not step on anyone's toes.
Speaking on that, just on terms of, I guess, the kind of relationship that you have with the directors and the production team, what are some things that directors or I guess crews can do in the production process to better help the color grading process? Because it might be sometimes that we make mistakes on set and we kind of don't say, or just to make the process smoother. And at this point, I'm kind of saying, any pet peeves that you have, please list them, just so that anyone watching and anyone listening now or in the future can be like, okay, cool, I won't do that, or I will do this going forward.
Where do I begin? No, Um, no, I think like obviously as a colorist, you would want to be involved in pre-production, and then you can help the DP and director make decisions that are more in line with the look they have in mind in the color. But that's possible with narrative work, but with commercial work and promos and stuff like that, the turnaround is so quick that that's not possible. Um, I think like definitely shoot in log. So just the video format that captures flat images so that in color later on you can really push it in a certain direction if you want to, or if the exposure was wrong, you can sort of recover that. And yeah, but shoot in log, but don't edit in log. That's like my pet peeve with directors.
Really?
Yeah, like if they watch the edit in log and you edit for a couple of weeks, and you get used to that, then in the grades sometimes when you apply like a Rec 709 transform or you add some contrast and saturation in, they're like, whoa, they're like used to the log,
Interesting.
the image with the less contrast. So then you have to like give them some time to adjust to the grade and how it's meant to look like and how it actually looks like in real life, and then go from there and push a look. So yeah, I would advise that to editors and
So
directors. Just use.
we've got a list so far. So we've got shoot in log. So if you're listening, shoot in log. Um, and we've now got don't edit in log. um, and then we've also got what was sorry, I think you were on to the next thing. Am I missing something or you want to the next thing?
No, those are the main
Cool.
things.
Yeah.
If you edit with a Rec. 709 transform, or if you have a show light, you can ask your colorist to make one.
What's the
To
show like?
So a show light is
Oh,
it's
show
very common
LUT.
in yeah.
Okay.
It's very common in narrative work, when you have those discussions at the beginning of the process, with like what the final look is going to be like. And you can sort of give the DP a lot that they can use on set, and the director can monitor all the footage with that lot on, so they can see, if it's too dark, too bright, if they would like to do something different. And then, yeah, they can edit with that as well. So if you have time to do that and talk to your colorist before the shoot, that's really useful. And it gives you an idea of how the grade is going to look like.
I'm just thinking actually in that process as well. What if I say for example you're shooting something like maybe it's not as important as this, but you're shooting something like Matrix and you're like I know from the get go. I want it to look like this. I want it to be green. I want it to be saturated. I want it the skins to pop. All of that stuff, right? Is there a way of kind of like just so that it's helpful or beneficial for the DP? Maybe is there something that can be used? Because obviously, when you're shooting in log, it's quite flat, so you don't necessarily know how everything. And sometimes you might use a LUT on set. Is there a way to kind of get a LUT from the grader prior to kind of be like, oh well, maybe they've done a recce to the location. They've done a test shoot. What's the situation there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you can approach your colorist, and if you want a matrix look, you can tell them that, and they can work on your test footage, and just make a lot that you're happy with. We usually do that with the DP, just so we can talk about the choices they're gonna make on their end and how that's gonna affect the look later on. So it's sort of like a basic look. You can't really affect skin tones or anything specifically, but it gives people on set, like the client, director, an idea of how it's gonna look like in the end. That's really useful.
So you would say then that actually kind of then ties into maybe would you say that it's super important to have your colorist kind of locked in early then?
Um, I mean, I wouldn't say I prefer it. I think every colorist would like to be involved early on. But that's in a perfect world. So yeah, if you can in and have a conversation with them beforehand, that's great. But you can do that after you shoot. You can do that in the edit when you start getting ideas of where you want to go. There's no pressure. It's whatever works for every project.
Amazing. Um, I'm just gonna say to the audience, anyone watching, if you've got any questions at all for Mara about any of the stuff that we've discussed, feel free to drop it in the comments. But yeah, like I kind of I find it quite interesting because I feel like every time I've spoken to a colorist, some obviously it's dependent on how everybody wants to work. What are the main sort of do you use DaVinci? Do you like because I know you mentioned you use Baselight, but is there different softwares that you use? And yeah,
Yeah. So previously I've used Resolve, but at Harvard we're on Baselight, which I love. But yeah, that's the only thing we use, Baselight, and it's amazing, and it looks really cool. It looks like a spaceship, the panel and everything, and yeah, that's what I use now.
What would you say to anyone? Because we also might have some colorists that are in the chat. But what would you say to anyone that's interested in kind of, I guess first getting in contact with a colorist, maybe say to them when it comes to like contacting, I guess, a colorist and what they should have ready. And yeah.
Sorry, you cut out a
Oh,
bit.
sorry. I was saying, some of the people in this chat might be, emerging directors that are kind of just like wanting to sort of start working with a colorist. What are some things that you think that maybe how they could contact a colorist and the things that they should have ready to kind of go after them?
Yeah, so I think um, everything happens over social media right now, and there's so many great colorists out there, and I think they're all trying to put their best work on their Instagrams or maybe LinkedIn or their websites. So definitely check out that because that's like what they like doing, what they're proud of, and that's sort of the style they would be comfortable with. Um, so see how that aligns with what you had in mind for your project. And then, yeah, definitely reach out to them. For colorists who work at post houses, it's really good to get in touch with the producers. They know their schedules, they know their budgets, but also get in touch with the colorist because if they like your work and they want to work with you and they want to make that happen, they're really going to push for it. And it's really good. I really appreciate it when people give me an idea of the project, if they have like a rough edit or if they want to jump on a call. That's really useful as well, just so if you align creatively. That's useful.
Amazing, and I think that's super useful. We've actually got a question from Harbour Pictures. If creatives want to work with you, how can they see your work and get in touch?
Wow. um, yeah, I guess email my producer or reach out on Instagram. That would be great. That's the answer.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mara. I'm gonna come to a close. If any questions fire through, I might quickly ask them. But thank you so much for joining us, and also just like giving us the best advice when it comes to director colorist relationships. I look forward to seeing more of your work, and yeah. Um, Anyone interested in seeing more of these, we have these on the Shiny platform, and also it will be on the Shiny Instagram, and it will also be on the Shiny website. Thank you so much, Mara.
Having me. This was so fun. So great. This thing that you're doing, and I think it's so helpful even for me and like directors and everyone watching it. So thank you for doing them.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm gonna love you and leave you. So have a great day, and to everyone that's watching, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.